Why guaranteed basic income, otherwise known as monthly checks, is the holy grail for low-income and fixed income beneficiaries. Let's get into it and discuss all the details. But really quickly, welcome and thank you so much for watching. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video, as I'm back every single day to keep you updated with all of this information and to be your daily advocate to help out in any way that I can, especially people who are low income or living on a fixed income like Social Security, SSDI, SSI, VA, and RRB. So if you like the sound of that, make sure to subscribe right down below the video, and please feel free to share this video or any other videos right here on the channel with your friends, family, and social media so we can continue to help out even more people out there during this very difficult and confusing time. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. Let's talk through this. So if you've been watching the videos for any length of time now here on this channel, you've known that we've talked about guaranteed basic income and these universal basic income programs that are literally popping up each and every week. In fact, I'm back every single week in a couple videos talking about the latest programs that have been popping up throughout the course of that week. Literally, we see these programs popping up all the time. Since early 2020, universal basic income and guaranteed basic income have gained a ton of popularity, and they are going all over the country right now in these pilot programs in different cities, counties, localities, states, cities. I mean, they are all over the place right now. I mean, it is like all over. Seriously, they are gaining so much traction. But here's the thing. I also get a lot of questions from people saying, I don't really get it. Like, what is this guaranteed basic income thing? What is this universal basic income thing? What does it mean when it comes to low income or fixed income beneficiaries like Social Security, SSDI, SSI, VA? What does it mean for all of us? Well, going back to the beginning of the video when I said guaranteed basic income is the holy grail for all of these beneficiaries and low-income people, I truly mean it. And let's discuss why I am saying this. All right, so really briefly, let me explain what guaranteed basic income is. Just in case this is a new concept to you, let me explain it really quickly. So everybody understands the idea behind monthly stimulus checks, right? It's a pretty basic idea. We've been talking about this for about a year and a half now, since we originally saw the first stimulus checks back in early 2020. Basically, what a guaranteed basic income is sending out a check, like an amount of money, to a specified group of people for an extended period of time, usually anywhere between 12 months to 24 months, and in some instances up to 3 or even 5 years. So it's long periods of time where a guaranteed check is coming to these groups of people every single month, month over month, for a specified period of time. Like I said, a long time, usually a year at an absolute minimum, and usually up to a couple years in some instances. So that's exactly what guaranteed basic income is. It's just like a monthly stimulus check, but yet it's usually a little bit smaller. Usually the payments are anywhere between about $500 and maybe a little bit more, $600 possibly. In some instances, maybe $1,000, but that's kind of rare. It's not all that often. It's usually $500 are the payments. But here's the thing. Even though it's not a monthly stimulus check, it's still a really good thing. Now, let me explain why a guaranteed basic income is actually the holy grail. Now, here's the thing behind the program. So as we know, the same thing with stimulus checks. Those would not be counted as income, not counted as resources, and it is not taxable income. Now, here's the thing with guaranteed basic income. It's essentially the exact same thing. It is a no strings attached payment going forward for an extended period of time on a monthly basis, focused on usually low income and fixed income beneficiaries. So here's the thing. Even though it is a no strings attached payment, what do I mean by that? In other words, they basically send out a payment and basically there's no rules on how you can spend it. Now, of course, there's probably some unwritten rules that say, it needs to be spent on something lawful. It can't be illegal, anything like that. Of course, these are unwritten rules, but I mean, that's just kind of the nature behind everything, right? But here's the thing. No strings attached, meaning you can spend it on anything you desire. They don't have rules wrapped around it. They don't have any restrictions. They don't come back to you and say, you must spend all the money on food this month, or, a car, or clothing this month. No, they don't say that. They basically just say, here is $500 or whatever it is. Go ahead and spend it on however you see fit. Maybe it's $100 for clothing. Maybe it's $200 for food. Maybe it's another $100 toward rent and another $100 toward utilities and maybe a little bit more toward something else. It does not matter. It's no strings attached. And here's the thing. Guaranteed basic income also is not counted as income. It's not counted as resources, and it's not taxable income. So it is literally the best of all the worlds, just like the stimulus checks, right? Because it's advance on a refundable tax credit. So it's essentially the exact same thing when it comes to guaranteed basic income. Now you might be wondering, why am I saying guaranteed basic income is better than universal basic income? What is the actual difference? Good question. Guaranteed basic income is primarily focused on low-income individuals. They typically focus guaranteed basic income on specified groups of people, primarily low-income individuals. Well, another thing too, if you're living on a fixed income like Social Security, SSDI, SSI, VA, RRB, anything like this, by definition, usually you're probably also falling into the category of low income because a lot of times these payments that are sent out on a monthly basis are usually pretty low, as we already know, like SSI, for example, $794 a month. Well, that's not very much, right? That would be identified as low income. Just like Social Security or SSDI, most beneficiaries would be falling into the category of low income. So therefore, in most situations, if one of those pilot programs popped up, or even on a nationwide level, if a guaranteed basic income program was distributed on a nationwide level, once again, low income, you'd probably be eligible to receive those payments, right? So I hope that makes sense as to why guaranteed basic income is more important, or why guaranteed basic income is actually the best. Here's the thing about universal basic income. Generally, universal basic income, you don't see these programs all that often. They do pop up in some certain situations, but for the most part, you don't really see exactly universal basic income. And here's why. UBI, as it's identified, UBI, universal basic income, is typically a payment that goes out to every single person within a specific community, regardless of income or net worth or anything like that. It's literally every single person within a specified area. Maybe it's within a certain city, a county, a locality. Maybe it's an Indian tribal community. Maybe it's within a state or a country, something like this. In fact, a village in South Korea implemented UBI a couple years ago, and they were sending out payments literally to every single resident within the village. Now, I get it. That's South Korea. We're here in the United States, but I was just using that as an example. So the deal is, regardless of income, regardless of net worth, regardless of everything, universal basic income generally sends out a payment to every single person, whereas guaranteed basic income primarily sends out payments to specified groups of people, usually lower income people, right? Make sense? So, in most instances, a guaranteed basic income is a much better approach because then it's really highly focused on the lower income people versus just kind of a blanket statement where it's like, hey, everybody, you all get a check because you live in this specific area, right? So yeah. Anyway, guaranteed basic income is far superior when it comes to like really directing those payments toward low income and fixed income beneficiaries, if that makes sense. So I hope this kind of lays it out and lets you know why guaranteed basic income is actually a pretty good program. I mean, seriously, if this comes to your hometown, you probably want to jump on that bandwagon if you just so happen to get the option, or when this comes as a nationwide program, which it absolutely will be coming at some point, just a matter of when. But when it does, it's going to be a really good thing for the low income and fixed income because essentially it's just going to be a stimulus check on a monthly basis going forward. Now, stimulus checks generally range anywhere between like $1,000 and $1,400 or maybe $2,000. But here's the thing with guaranteed basic income. The payments, like I said, are primarily smaller, but they do last much longer. So at the end of the day, you'd be far further ahead with a guaranteed basic income program versus stimulus checks. Because typically stimulus checks are kind of like a once and done kind of thing, right? You get one check and then it's kind of like, well, we'll see you in 6 months and we'll see if we need another one. Or in some cases, 8 or 9 months, right? Yeah. So that's kind of how stimulus checks work. It's usually just a once and done kind of, well, we'll see how that goes and we'll check back in half a year. And then, whereas guaranteed basic income, it's smaller payments, but it's guaranteed for like a year, 2 years, 5 years, something like that. So at the end of the day, even though the payments are smaller, you'd be far further ahead with guaranteed basic income versus UBI or monthly stimulus check. So hope that lays it out and answered the question for those of you who've been wondering. But yeah, not bad. These things keep popping up all over the place. I will keep you updated. Enjoy your day. Thank you so much for being here and watching. I really do appreciate you. Subscribe right down below the video. Again, totally free to do so. Share this video or any of the others here on the channel with your friends, family, social media. And I am very much dedicated to being here for you every single day to help you out in any way that I can. Enjoy, and I'll see you again